In the maze of biblical interpretation, one particular thorn-laden subject sparks heated debates with much-needed contemplation: the context of homosexuality within the Bible. What seems like a straightforward condemnation of same-sex relations is not so straightforward at all. This sensitive issue is one that, without context, is not so easily discerned. At first glance, Leviticus 20, verses 12 and 13, appears to cast a damning verdict on same-sex relations, alongside other transgressions. Yet, a closer examination reveals a nuanced narrative. The audience, predominantly the priesthood and the congregation of Israel, is sternly warned against defying divine commandments. But is the focus, as we understand them today, solely on literal homosexual acts? Looking deeper, we encounter a myriad of philosophical discourse interwoven with personal and societal warnings. The Bible's concern isn't merely with carnal relations, but with the integrity of the priesthood. The admonition against lying with mankind as with womankind ultimately transcends physicality, addressing the spiritual and philosophical landscape of the priesthood. Romans 1, verses 22 to 27, adds another layer to this complex discourse. It condemns the perversion of truth and the worship of idols, framing same-sex relations within a broader context of moral decay. Here, the condemnation isn't directed at individual human beings, but again at the priesthood, emphasizing their departure from the nature of truth. Intercourse between men is not what we think. The notion of men in biblical context extends beyond the physical to encompass angels, who are but messengers or ministers. Angels, often imagined as otherworldly beings, are, in essence, human messengers entrusted with delivering revelations from the heart of the Scriptures. When the Bible speaks of angels, it refers to human agents commissioned to disseminate wisdom at the Bible's core. In this light, the condemnation of same-sex relations among men isn't a literal denouncement, but a symbolic representation of spiritual transgression within the priesthood. The Bible's focus isn't actually on physical acts, but rather on philosophical and theological deviations among graduates of religious institutions. Throughout the Scriptures, the priesthood bears the brunt of censure for leading the people astray. The erosion of understanding, justice, and a spirit of benevolence stems from the corruption within the ranks of the priesthood, who misuse their authority to propagate falsehoods through ideology that is passed around from member to member. Ultimately, the context of homosexuality in the Bible transcends the physical and embodies what is philosophical and theological. It serves as a warning against mental and doctrinal decay within the priesthood and the preservation of the devotional character within the Bible. As we navigate various passages connected to this sensitive topic, let us heed the underlying message beneath the surface. The context of homosexuality within the Bible isn't a simplistic condemnation, but a profound discourse on spiritual integrity. What is the context of homosexuality within the Bible? What is the context of homosexuality within the Bible? I'm asked this every year from individuals on their journey, individuals researching the mind at the core of the Scriptures to understand the principles, the concept, the perception therein. And I answer this privately, and I repeat the same answer. The same answer, it never changes. but I am moved to publicly answer this due to a clip that I saw, a clip in which a pastor will be speaking, of which you will see, and I will show you this clip right now.
Do you love the homosexuals?
No, I do not. I hate homosexuals, and I wish that they would all die.
And why do you hate them?
Because the Bible portrays them as violent predators from start to finish. And if we look at reality, they are violent predators. They are recruiters. They're not reproducers. They're recruiters. And so the Bible says that they should be executed. And I believe the Bible. And I hate them and wish that they would all die.
And can a man of God?
Well, I'm a man of God and I hate. So there's proof that a man of God can hate. David.
So what we want to do is look at context. We want to look at context, because the basis for everything, including everything that comes up out of the Bible and is within it, context is needed. What we're going to do, we are going to look at the context of how the Bible defines homosexuality. We are going to look at the context of who homosexuals are to the Bible. And this pastor said that he wishes they would all die. So we are going to also see from the Bible's mind, this isn't my mind, from the Bible's mind, the homosexuals that are causing death and that to the Bible appeared to be needing to die. We're going to start in the book of Leviticus. Leviticus 20, this is something that is always cited. Leviticus 20, 12, and 13. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have wrought confusion, their blood shall be upon them. If a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, they shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. Now when engaging this is basic. When engaging this, we have to be able to recognize the audience. Who's the audience for this? That's the first thing. Who's the audience for this? Leviticus 20, 26. Same chapter, verse 26. Leviticus 20, 26. Ye shall be holy unto me, for I, the Lord, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that you should be mine. Again, who is this audience? Who has been separated to be this deities? Leviticus 20, same chapter, verses 1 and 2. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Again thou shalt say to the children of Israel, and then it goes on. Highlighting this verse here because the audience is to the children of Israel. The audience is to this Moses speaking to this congregation, this audience. Who is this audience? Leviticus 19, 1 and 2. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Now remember, we just read in Leviticus 20, the same chapter in which it says man shall not lie with mankind. We read in verse 26 of that same chapter, You shall be holy unto me, for I, the Lord, am holy, and have severed you from other people, and have severed you from other people, that you should be mine. Now we are reading chapter before Leviticus 20 and Leviticus 19, 1 and 2. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto who? All the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. The audience for which this is meant, first of all, is for a congregation. We cannot forget that. This is for a congregation. Second of all, the audience for whom this is meant, the congregation of which is standing before Moses. Leviticus 17, 1 and 2. Who is this audience yet for? And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and to his sons, and unto all the children of Israel, and say unto them, and it continues. We have to remember where we're quoting from, right? Where is this quote? Man shall not lie with man as he does with woman. Where is this quote coming from? It's coming from the book of Leviticus. Why is that relevant? What is Leviticus about? Who is Leviticus for? We here. Are we members of the congregation associated to Leviticus? Are we members of the priesthood associated to Leviticus? Because that's who this is for primarily. This is primarily for the priesthood, for the Levitical priesthood. Let me repeat that. This is primarily for the Levitical priesthood. What does that mean that that's primarily for the Levitical priesthood? What that means is that what is written here is not for normal eyes. What is written here is not for casual readers. This is quote unquote occult. What I mean by that is the meaning of what is here written is confined within the words to the audience for which this is for. We have to be able to understand that and rationalize that what we are reading concerning man not lying with man as with woman, this is first of all for the Levitical priesthood, and also generally for that priesthood of the Levites assisting the charge of the ones or the members of the part of Aaron's crew. This is also again for a congregation. This is for a congregation. The one speaking is not speaking to individuals on a street. This isn't a street preacher. This is for a congregation. It is held to the congregation and specifically nestled to the priesthood. We have to be able to make that distinction, of which will not be clear here, of which we will get into. Everything here spoken is primarily for the priesthood. We're pulling this from, and this exists within, the book of Leviticus. The book of Leviticus is counsel and instruction for the Levites, for the Levitical priesthood. Are you a part of that? Am I a part of that? Is there an existing Levitical priesthood today? If the answer is no to all of that, we have to be able to take context into consideration in 2024. If not, we're liable to really take these things out of their context, as that pastor did, and create narratives. This is for, again, the priesthood, the Levitical priesthood. Another verse just to cement who this is for. Leviticus 21 verse 1. Leviticus 21 verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, Speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron. I'm going to end it there because none of the rest is necessary for what we're talking about. Everything in the book of Leviticus is for the Levitical priesthood. That means, are we going to believe that there is literal homosexuality going on within the Levitical priesthood? Possibly, right? That's a possibility. Or, given the general way that the Bible is structured, are we actually reading a literal charge? This isn't again, street preacher. This isn't a street preacher. What's being said here is not being said on the corner of a boulevard. This is a voice guiding a priesthood. This is a voice guiding a congregation. The things herein are held to the congregation. That congregation no longer exists. Literally. no longer exists. So now we have to be able to take what we're hearing and to place it into the correct context. Romans. We're going to get into that context. Romans 1:22-27. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness for the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. For this God God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet. Second popular verse that likes to be cited in reference concerning homosexuality is this. What's the context of what the author here in Romans 1 is saying? What is it that is the unseemly work that is being worked? Is it not verse 25? Who changed the truth of God into a lie, worshiped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever? Is it not verse 23? And changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, into birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. What's going on in these verses? Men with men working that which is unseemly. By verse 27, the author is already citing what is unseemly and has already that they have already stated in the verses prior. Literal natural homosexuality is not what's being discussed here. Contextually, the notion of having truth changed is what's being discussed here. The notion of idols being worshipped is what's being discussed here. These are the works that are occurring and that are unseemly. Looking at, because context matters, just want to look at the definition of a man. Because it is men that is not supposed to lay with men as with womankind. It is men that are doing things with men that are unseemly. And in the context of the book of Romans, there's nothing naturally homosexual here. There is nothing naturally homosexual here reported that is unseemly. Again, what is unseemly has been cited in the verses prior. To get a better understanding of that context, we have to be able to understand how the Bible defines man. How the Bible defines man. Context matters. Context matters. And especially for a subject like this that gets individuals so hot and so bothered. Context matters. We are pulling a verse which is a popular verse to use against the concept of homosexuality from the book of Leviticus, which is a book that is written primarily for a priesthood that is presently non-existent. We went to the book of Romans, and the book of Romans cites men doing things unseemly with men, and the author writing that is telling us beforehand, before getting to that point, of what the unseemly deeds are. Changing the truth into a lie, worshiping the creature more than the Creator, worshiping the creature more than the Creator, creating and devising idols. All of this with men doing things with men, man lying with man as with woman. What is the context of a man to the Bible's mind? 1 Corinthians 13, verse 1. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I am become as a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. I want to highlight this verse just for the context. The Bible uses word associations to define itself and to define whatever it needs to define for the reader. there are many associations to men or men in the Bible. All of them fall back to the same root. We're going to see that root. As per this verse, men equals angels. Men equals angels. Keeping the idea of the definition of men being defined as angels, jumping into 1 Timothy now. 1 Timothy 3:16. And without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifest in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the Gentiles, believed on in the world, received up into glory. Now who saw this manifestation? Says angels there, right? Who saw this manifestation? And who preached unto the Gentiles? Whoever saw the manifestation, they are the ones that preached. Manifest in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of angels is what we want to talk about and highlight. Who saw this manifestation to then preach this manifestation? Was it what I'm saying is, was it an otherworldly entity? Is this what the author is talking about? Is the author talking about otherworldly or superstitious entities called angels that saw and that then preached what they saw manifested to them? The book of Hebrews 2:2 and 3. For if the word spoken by angels was steadfast, and every transgression and disobedience received a just recompense of reward, how shall we escape if we neglect so great salvation, which at the first began to be spoken by the Lord, and was confirmed unto us by them that heard him? Going back to Timothy, manifest in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the Gentiles. Going to Hebrews, how shall we escape if we neglect so great salvation, which at the first began to be spoken by the Lord, and was confirmed unto us by them that heard him? The angels are a figurative term alluding to them that heard. The ones that saw. Remember that dialogue from 1 John 1:1-4, of which we have seen and handled with our own eyes. That is a human being saying that in 1 John. Angels, quote unquote angels, to the Bible's mind are not otherworldly entities. The angel, as is here, the one that saw, the one that heard, the one that then preached, are those that heard. We would call them ministers. We would call them messengers. Looking in the book of Acts. Chapter 10, 34-39. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, Of a truth I perceive that God is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. The word which God sent unto the children of Israel, preaching peace by Jesus Christ, he is Lord of all. That word, I say, you know, which was published throughout all Judea, and began from Galilee, after the baptism which John preached, how God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Ghost and with power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for God was with him. And we are witnesses of all things which he did, both in the land of the Jews and in Jerusalem, whom they slew and hanged on a tree. The angels here are not literal angels. Bible never goes into the contextually realm of otherworldly entities. These terms are used because they trace back to specific messengers with a specific message for a specific group of people. The Bible equates men with angels, and we are seeing that these angels are equated with the Peters and such, with the Johns and such, with the Pauls and such. Acts 13:45-47. But when the Jews saw the multitudes, they were filled with envy and spake against those things which were spoken by Paul, contradicting and blaspheming. Then Paul and Barnabas waxed bold and said it was necessary that the word of God should first have been spoken to you. But seeing you put it from you and judge yourselves unworthy of everlasting life, lo, we turn to the Gentiles. For so hath the Lord commanded us, saying, I have set thee to be a light of the Gentiles, that thou shouldest be for salvation unto the ends of the earth. Despite this gross misquote that is here in the book of Acts, the idea of the angel stands out more. When you go back to Timothy, manifested in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the Gentiles, believed on in the world, received up into glory. This is figurative illustration for what is taking place in reality. The angels in question are not otherworldly entities. These are the Pauls of the world. These are the Peters of the world. These are the Johns of the world. These are messengers. Man equals angel to the Bible's mind. Angel equals messenger to the Bible's mind. Man to the Bible's mind equals minister, equals messenger, equals priest, equals prophet.
Ever wonder if your faith truly reflects your experience? Discover the essence of a living and breathing faith in A Faith That Works. A Faith That Works challenges you to not just believe, but to act on your beliefs in a positive way. Cooperate with the Bible to cultivate a faith that doesn't just speak, but also acts. Give your faith the chance to shine. Your journey is unique. A Faith That Works encourages personal reflection to find your devotional essence. Deepen your connection with the Bible. Let its devotional characters shine through your actions. Experience the transformative power of a book challenging you to examine your faith. Let it change you. Let it guide you. Embark on a journey to explore the depths of your beliefs. Let A Faith That Works be your compass.
To the Bible's mind, and remember, we're keeping this to the Bible's mind. We're keeping this to the Bible's mind because it is men that are not supposed to do things unseemly with men. It is man that is not supposed to lie with mankind as with woman. Well, contextually, Bible articulates the definition of man as being an angel. Bible articulates the definition of angel as being a messenger, as being a minister, as being a disciple, an apostle, a priest. However else you want to put that, that's what that is in that official sense or term. Book of Psalms. The Psalms, 104, 3 and 4. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind, who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire. Again, word association is how the Bible articulates its position. Who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire. The angel is the minister. The angel is the minister. And this term that maketh his angels spirits, this term, this phrase, angels, spirits, ministers, flaming fire, all of this should sound familiar if we are familiar with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Because this is how the John of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is described, as a flaming fire. John 5:33-35. John 5:33-35. You sent unto John, and he bare witness unto the truth. But I received not testimony from that man. But these things I say, that you might be saved. He was a burning and a shining light, and you were willing for a season to rejoice in his light. This same flaming fire, it is the same linguistic context of a burning or a shining light. There is no difference between them. Bible is consistently using figurative language to articulate its position. We have to be able to draw out the context. The angel is not an otherworldly entity. The angel is not a supernatural figure. The angel is not from some place beyond the sky and beyond the earth into another realm of a 6th, 7th, 8th, 2400th heaven. That's not superstition. Sorry, that's superstition that is not associated to the Bible. Bible thought pattern doesn't mix with that. In context. In context, man to the Bible's mind, to just review, is angel. Angel to the Bible's mind is minister, priest, messenger. Minister, priest, messenger to the Bible's mind. They are like a flaming fire. And more importantly, that maketh his angels spirits. Why are these ministers made spirits? Why are they made this way? Looking in the book of Job 26, 3 and 4. How hast thou counseled him that hath no wisdom? And how hast thou plentifully declared the thing as it is? To whom hast thou uttered words, and whose spirit came from thee? Again, word association from within the Bible is allowing us to define this term spirit. To whom hast thou uttered words, whose spirit came from thee? What is being uttered here? Words. What are these words in reference to? In another language, in another term, in another phrase, they are called spirit. To the Bible's mind, words equal spirit. Words equal mind, because mind can give words. Spirit equals mind to the Bible's mind, is what I'm trying to say. Spirit equals mind. When hearing of words, we should understand spirit. To have angels as spirits is to have ministers as words. What does it mean to have ministers as words? Proverbs 1, 22 and 23. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity, and the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge? Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. The outpouring of spirit is an outpouring of mind. The outpouring of spirit is an outpouring of words. That maketh his angels spirits, his ministers of flaming fire. That maketh his angels words, his ministers of flaming fire. These are the Johns of the world. These are the Peters of the world. These are the Amoses of the world. These are the Isaiahs of the world. A man to the Bible's mind, in context, is not a literal biological male. To the Bible's mind, man equals priest, equals minister, equals messenger. When we're in the book of Leviticus, when we are in the book of Leviticus, and there are other illustrations throughout the scriptures to verify this prior to Leviticus, so that by the time we enter into Leviticus, we already know the context of what a man is. To the Bible's mind, man is minister, priest, messenger. In reality, Leviticus is saying, priest shall not lie with priest, as they would with a woman. Priest shall not lie with priest, as they would with a woman. Book of Romans, men doing things with men that are unseemly. In reality, it's saying priests doing things with priests that are unseemly. To the Bible's mind, homosexuality belongs to the priesthood. This message, whether you're getting it from Leviticus or from the book of Romans, these are not to individuals on the street. This is to individuals that are seminary trained, that are brought up in the rabbinical schools, that have their MDivs, that have their biblical expert PhDs. This is who this is for, because this is what goes on in those institutions. Bible does not talk about literal, physical homosexuality. Again, these are not words to anyone on the street by a street preacher. Everything here is confined to congregations. To congregations. We have to be able to realize that context. The idea of priests not lying with other priests as they would with women is philosophical. Man lying with man, to the Bible's mind, is a philosophical concept of priests being warned not to have intercourse with other priests. And this is not physical, this is not literal. This is philosophical, this is mental. How is it always, when you're reading the Bible, you're always seeing the son of a son, the son of a son, the son of a son. Every once in a while you get sprinkled on something general of a man and a woman there, still figurative terms. But to the Bible's mind, the idea of sons of men, men of men, the sons of men, we're familiar with this from the Bible. This is referring to the homosexuality occurring between priests and priests. In true general context, the mind at the core of the scriptures, they are warning priests and priesthoods and congregations to refrain from having intercourse with themselves. Not literally. This is mentally, this is philosophically, this is theologically. Man is priest to the Bible's mind. We have to be able to recognize that context.
A genuine relationship with the Bible can be difficult. Sometimes we don't know where to begin. Sometimes we don't know how to trust our experience. Sometimes we may be afraid to get too close to our Creator. Perfecting and Reforming Personal Religion will be your guide. This book will make sure your spiritual journey is fulfilling. Don't miss this opportunity to elevate your devotional practice. Embrace the wisdom within its pages and embark on a journey of self-discovery. Grab your copy now and take the first step towards a more fulfilling and enlightened life.
The counsel in the book of Leviticus is for the priesthood. The counsel in the book of Leviticus, it is for the priesthood. The counsel to the Romans, this is not sent to anyone on the street. These are sent to the priests of the Roman Church. Everything is sent to priesthoods, whether you're in Romans, whether you're in Leviticus. The judgment is not against individual human beings bearing qualities of the concept of homosexuality in a natural sense or fashion. The context for which these things are written and placed, they are for priests. They are for the, again, seminary trained. They are for the quote-unquote Bible experts. They are for the ones with MDivs, Masters of Divinity. Because in these institutions, that's all that goes on, rampant homosexuality. Again, this isn't literal. Homosexuality means, to the Bible's mind, you're taking your thoughts, mixing them with another's thoughts. You're taking those thoughts that are coming from those thoughts and mixing them with another's thoughts. You're letting the impression that you should be having be based off of the conscience of another priest, of another quote-unquote expert, of another quote-unquote seminary trained, of another quote-unquote one from the rabbinical school. Rampant homosexuality, they exist in these institutions, and what's here written is a warning that the priesthood do not do what they have been taken out from, that they do not do what is around them, to which they killed the people that did them, that they do not continue these practices because they were supposed to stay loyal, despite there being many gods in existence, to the only one God that they served that led them out of Egypt. Rampant homosexuality, to the Bible's mind, has nothing to do with what is natural. It has everything to do with what is theological and everything to do with what is connected to the priesthood. Those are the homosexuals the Bible's talking about. Those are the warnings to them, because their natural inclination and their culture is indebted to a homosexual act and behavior mentally, theologically, philosophically, theoretically. That's who these things are written for. We have to be able to keep that in context, because if not, we're going to take these things out of perspective and create things within our own selves that make absolutely no sense, and have opinions that have absolutely no sense. Context matters. Context matters, especially to the Bible. Bible is context. Bible is context. We have to be able to recognize where we're pulling these things from, who they are for, so that we can be able to apply them to the stream, to the realm, to the field of which they are supposed to be applied. Everything here is not for anyone on the street. Everything here is not for anyone on the street. This is confined to congregations. This is confined to priests and priesthoods. We have to be able to put that into context. Book of Hosea. Hosea 4, 6 and 7. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I also will reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. As they were incensed, so they sinned against me. Therefore will I change their glory into shame. Everything that this is saying is exactly what Romans, the author writing that, is saying. Their glory was turned into shame. They were given up to their affections. They, men with men, better context now, priest with priest, doing things unseemly, which only priest with priest can do. We don't have to guess what that is. This isn't literal. This is religious. This is theological. This is doctrinal. Isaiah 9, 15 and 16. We don't realize it, but there is a condemnation completely through and through. There was nothing positive within the Bible about priests. And I won't go through that list, but there's always a warning to the priest, to priesthoods, because their nature is homosexual. They will not stay faithful to their mind, to the mind at the core of the scriptures, is what I'm saying. They will always take their mind and go to another man. That's what the Bible is saying. Bible is warning those individuals to stop that. To stop it. Isaiah 9, 15 and 16. The ancient and the honorable, he is the head, and the prophet that teacheth lies, he is the tail. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. Again, this is priesthood. This is a condemnation against the leaders. This is the priesthood. Why? Because there is a consistent narrative within the scriptures that the priesthood cannot and should not be trusted with the devotional character, with the devotional philosophy, with the devotional experience of the devotional character and the devotional philosophy attached to the scriptures. Can't stress context enough. We can't stress context enough. Because there are a lot of sincere individuals that are going to be misled because there is not context put in play, whether they are the seminary trained or whether they are the followers of the seminary trained, or whether they're simply just catching strays from the seminary trained and their followers. Context needs to be put into perspective. And every time I'm asked this question about how the Bible treats homosexuality and all of that, I have to go through the context, show the nature, the landscape for which these things are to be applied, and to put that in its right frame. We can take anything, whether it be Bible or our own selves or anything, we can take that out of context. Let that be what it will be for whoever will do that. But the context has a narrative within itself. And to stay faithful to the mind at the core of that context, have to be willing to embrace the narrative that that context will give. Micah 3:10 through 12. Micah 3:10 through 12. They build up Zion with blood and Jerusalem with iniquity. The heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire, and the prophets thereof divine for money. Yet will they lean upon the Lord and say, Is not the Lord among us? None evil can come upon us. Therefore shall Zion for your sake be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountain of the house as the high places of the forest. All of this, again, all of this destruction to these people is because of, as it says in that last verse, Zion will be plowed, the priesthood. The priesthood is the reason for the cause of this annihilation. Priesthood's doing wrong. And I'm not going to go, you can get the narrative. Priesthood's doing wrong. Priesthood is the priest of Jerusalem, the priest of Israel. They're dipping into Baal. They're dipping into everything else. They're dipping into this. They're dipping into that. Ezekiel 8 brings up Tammuz, brings up the sun. They're doing a lot. They are homosexual in their nature. It's their homosexuality that's bringing on this destruction upon their own land. This homosexuality being the priesthood, mixing with the concepts, the theories, the ideas and the notions, the suppositions, the philosophy and the theology of other priesthoods, whether it be of their own Israelite denominations or whether it be outside. They're mingling with other minds of other men, of other priests. Again, this isn't literal homosexuality. Bible doesn't discuss that. The type of homosexuality the Bible discusses is mental, is theological, is doctrinal, and its discussion is over and against and for priests and priesthood. Priest and priesthoods. Hosea 4:1 through 3. Hear the word of the Lord, you children of Israel, for the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish, with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. Figurative language for an annihilation that is caused by who? Who is the reason there is no truth, mercy, justice, judgment in the land? Who's the cause for this? Author of Isaiah tells us. Isaiah 59:12 to 14. For our transgressions are multiplied before thee, and our sins testify against us. For our transgressions are with us, and as for our iniquities we know them. In transgressing and lying against the Lord, and departing away from our God, speaking oppression and revolt, conceiving and uttering from the heart words of falsehood. And judgment is turned away backward, and justice standeth afar off, for truth is fallen in the street, and equity cannot enter. We saw in Hosea, no land, there is no truth in the land, no mercy, no knowledge. And because of that, the land shall mourn. Who's the reason for why the land shall mourn? Isaiah 59 gives us the answer. Our transgressions are multiplied before you. Our sins testify against us. Our transgressions are with us. As for our iniquities, we know them. Who is this we? Who is this our? Who is this us? Who is the author of Isaiah talking about? Who are they writing about? Who is this we? Who is this us? Who has power to conceive and utter from the heart words of falsehood? Who has power to transgress and lie against the Lord? Who has power to control the judgment and justice of the land, and that truth is fallen in the street? Who is this author talking about? Because if we can know who they're talking about, we can know why the land is in the condition that it is. And if we can know why the land is in the condition that it is, to know the violators, well, that gives us an idea for who this condemnation is within the scriptures. Hair care enthusiasts, are you ready to elevate your hair game without breaking the bank? If you are, this will be very interesting to you. Divi will give you an exclusive $10 off discount on all premium hair care products. But to claim this fantastic offer, all you have to do is visit their website at diviofficial.com/Linwood 61174. Whether you're looking to nourish your locks, revitalize your scalp, or want a serum for hair growth that actually works, Divi has you covered. Visit diviofficial.com/Linwood 61174 and unlock your $10 off discount now. Who in the land has power to ensure that justice prevails? Who in the land has power to make sure truth prevails? Who in the land has power to make sure that there is a pure understanding and not deception of the quote-unquote Lord? This isn't anything secular. What's here written is not for anyone on the street. It's not for any secular institution. Everything that we are reading, we have to be able to keep in context. Everything that we're reading is pertaining to congregation, is pertaining to priesthood. Isaiah is not speaking to anyone on the street. Isaiah is not speaking to anyone in another sort of institution that is not associated to a religious doctrine connected to who he is associated to, who they are associated to. Who is it that has this power to keep peace, justice, knowledge of God in the land? Still in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 29:13. Wherefore the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. Everything falls back to priesthood. There is nothing, and I tell everyone that reaches out to me about their questions about homosexuality in the Bible, because I have to break these things down, and I do. There is nothing in the Bible contextually that has anything to do with an actual homosexuality. Nothing. The Bible has everything to do. The Bible has everything to do with homosexuality, yes. But the audience for which that pertains to is not anyone on the street. This isn't for anyone on the street. Your opinions about homosexuality are yours. They aren't the Bible's contextually. Our opinions on what we have, they are ours. Contextually, they are ours. They are not. And especially when we fail to get the context that is actually, that the Bible is alluding to, they're not from the scriptures. In reality, homosexuality, yes, it's in the Bible. Yeah, it is. But its audience is the priesthood. The audience in the book of Leviticus is for the Levitical priesthood. The audience in the book of Romans, it is for the bishops of Rome. Nobody on the street got Paul's letters. We have to remember that. Every one of these letters went to congregational priesthoods and priests. Isaiah's message is not to anyone on the street, it is to their priesthood. Jeremiah's message isn't for anyone on the street, it's for their priesthood. From Genesis to Malachi, priesthood. Everything is for the priesthood. The condemnation of homosexuality to the Bible's mind is not fixed to human beings per se. The context for homosexuality is fixed to priests, to human beings that are priests. The Bible categorizes them clearly. Bible clearly categorizes who they're talking about. We cannot take that categorization and that classification out of context, because if we do, we will make a mistake philosophically. At that point, we're not talking about Bible, we're uttering our own heart. Because what will come out of our mouth when it does not match the context of the scriptures will reveal the character that is actually within us. Because philosophically, quote unquote God, theos, has never been against homosexuality, but has been homosexual himself. Cut theology out, jump into the Bible. The mind at the core of the scriptures does not have anything to say about natural homosexuality, but has everything to say about theological homosexuality, about religious homosexuality, about philosophical homosexuality. And the message is geared to the leaders of congregations. The message is geared to the graduates of the seminaries, of the rabbinical schools. The graduates going around calling themselves pastors, ministers, experts of Bible, priests, rabbis, so on and so forth. The context of homosexuality within the Bible is geared toward priests having intercourse with priests, as a natural man would have with a natural woman. We're reading a riddle and a parable in the book of Romans and in the book of Leviticus. The context is philosophical. So when we think about these terms, homosexuality, and we associate them to the Bible, pull context from Bible, and should you dissect those terms, beginning with man, you will see that to the Bible's mind, man isn't simply biological male. The primary definition of man is priest of the Bible. Mankind is priestkind. Priest should not lie with priestkind, as a natural man would do with a woman. This is all figurative illustration. We have to be able to get that. Bible has this in here as a warning and as counsel to those that would pursue the direction of wanting to be a graduate of seminary, and of wanting to be a graduate of the rabbinical school, and of wanting to be the follower of the quote-unquote Bible expert. To the follower, you have to know that the one that is guiding you, their natural inclination is spiritual religious homosexuality. To the one that is in the institution themselves, Bible is warning you, do not go to that trend. Do not go to that trend. That trend of lending your conscience and allowing another to lend their conscience to yours. This is the type of homosexuality that the Bible is articulating, and we have to, again, be able to get that. That's the context here, and to take that out of context is to ruin everything that the mind at the core of the scriptures is standing by.